Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, maybe joined soon by Rob, who is dealing with some work things right now. But we wanted to go ahead and give you guys a bonus episode today. Obviously, we don't usually do an episode on, on Tuesdays, but second day of free agency, guys. Stuff's going down. Stuff is happening left and right here. As we got new signings happening. We got people that are now Giants that, quite frankly, I don't think it was going to happen, but it seems that Joe Schoen is definitely spending here to at least get the defense fixed up. But, we're jury's still on the offense. We'll talk about that here, but defense is definitely something that they are looking to, spend big on. And you got to wonder if part of that is because of the fact that obviously John Mara went to, the press, I'm sure went to them as well in their post, end of the season kind of conference. Conferences there and talked about the fact that the defenses have to improve. Now, we've made the case in this show multiple times here. The defense was not so bad before all the injuries. This is the worst offense in the entire league. We're now day 2 in, and our only really offensive move is signing Darius Slayton to a new deal, which I'm very happy for, and signing a swing tackle that quite frankly couldn't hack it in Cleveland. So still a little confused on that move there. But listen, more is to come. We're only 2 days into free agency. I always tell people, don't freak out early on. So I don't want to freak out early on myself there. But I'm definitely concerned with what's going on with the offense right now. Definitely very concerned with what's going on with that offense. But we got great things going on in defense. So let's get right into with that news there, because the big news for today for Giants fans, the Giants signed Jevon Holland, a guy that we talked about going into free agency here as one of the bigger names of free agency overall. It's probably the biggest name, pure safety in this free agency class. Now there's guys who could potentially play safety that are like older corners, and they're some bigger names there, obviously. But Holland has been a legit safety for the Dolphins now for some years. 25 years old still, so still very young. It's funny when you look at some of these free agents nowadays when they're 25 years old and you're like, oh, he's playing the league 4 or 5 years now. And it's like, it wasn't the last couple of years. You've gotten guys that literally come out of college into the draft that are 23, 24 years old. So, got a good number of years of experience already. 15 games last year, 62 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 QB hits, 4 passes deflected, and a forced fumble. PFF grade-wise, 63 PFF grade overall, 62.5 pass rush grade, 73.4 run defense grade, and a 57.1 coverage grade. Now, the deal overall, guys, 3 years, $45.3 million, $30.3 million is guaranteed on the deal as well, which is a huge downfall from where they expected him to be coming into free agency. A lot of people expected him to get about a $20 million contract. And instead, you get him for, just barely over 15 million, and the injuries is part of it there. And this is one of the things that I hate to kind of beat this dead horse. We talked about that, a little bit yesterday. We're getting guys that have had some injuries in the last couple of years. But again, this is free agency. If they were perfect players, they'd be franchise tagged. They'd be re-signed. Nobody would ever let them go. This guy is a legit talent in the league here. PFSN said Jevon Holland is coming off a down year in 2024, as it was his first season without an interception. He also tied his career low of 4 passes defended. However, Holland's coverage numbers have remained strong over the last 2 seasons, allowing 7.6 yards per target in 23 and 6.7 in 24. Injuries have become the primary concern for Holland, who has missed 7 games over the last 2 seasons. He missed 2 games last year with a hand injury and 5 games in 23 after suffering sprained MCLs in both knees. Now, we talked about him initially going into free agency. We did have a Dolphin fan in the chat, so I'll just give you guys their opinion. Just as somebody who was watching the games there and said to us point blank, really talented guy. Just hasn't been quite the same since he came back from those knee injuries. And not that he lost the step or anything like that, more was making business decisions. So be curious to see what happens with him now, see if we see the old Holland, because Holland was, and I mean, you still make the case, still is one of the better young safeties in this league. And I gotta say, I'm kind of intrigued by this move overall because of the fact that we let Xavier McKinney go. We let Xavier McKinney go and basically signed a guy now to a similar contract. And it has to make you wonder, was the issues with Xavier McKinney his play, or was it maybe the fact that there were some issues with him personality-wise? Those of you guys who still follow him on social media, I do. You see things like, him talking trash today, even ironically enough. Oh, you haven't seen the best yet. Blah, blah, blah. More's coming. Like, there's been issues with him and Wink Martindale, obviously, when he was here. There was a couple other issues that there was rumors about that I don't want to see too much on because there was rumors. I don't have anything to back it up on, but I heard some other things as well through the grapevine. Maybe that was why they really didn't re-sign Xavier McKinney. Because remember, Xavier McKinney, by all reports, went back to the Giants and said point blank, will you match this offer that the Packers are giving me? And he said no. They said no, I should say. So again, it makes you wonder. I mean, you got the ATV incident, obviously, as well. So now we have somebody who literally is basically his replacement coming in, just about $1 million less than what McKinney was getting paid by the Packers now. And a guy that's, like I said, a good young talent, guys. And I mentioned in the write-up that PFSN gave, didn't have a single interception this year, but has had one or two basically for the prior years there. So while he's not an interception machine, he is definitely a guy who does typically get a couple interceptions during the year. The big thing for him has been more the the pass deflections. He's had 10 his rookie year, 7 his second year, and now 4 each of the last 2 years. Keep in mind 4 in 23 though in just 12 games. So not a bad coverage guy. Had a really good run stopping grade there last year. I think that this is one of those scenarios that you got a guy who's a good player, has the potential to be an elite safety, has the potential to be an above average safety. And which side of the coin he ends up on, obviously, is going to determine whether or not this contract is good in the long term. But considering the fact that it's only a guaranteed, money really for 2 years in this whole thing, you're saying $30 million, $30.3 million guaranteed. That's not a bad deal, guys. I'm fine with that. I am absolutely fine with this deal here. I think this is a good move for the Giants overall. I think this is a move that you look at what you're getting there, and you're getting a young, talented safety who's literally entering the prime of his career. We're going to have him for years, 25, 26, 27. That's literally the prime of his careers. I like the move. I got to separate the fact that I'm a little concerned with what's going on offensively right now and look at it that way and say, I really do like the move overall. Jay says, Holland is young. I thought, yep, 25 years old. Just turned 25, in fact. So, yeah, pretty young there. And he said, I think the ATV thing ruined it for the FO. I mean, yeah, ATV incident with McKinney definitely helped that. Said, yeah, he could have cost $9 million if they signed him after year 3. Well, again, there's the issues there. There's the issues. I feel like they're there. Jay says, "Where's Rob? He's working right now, so he's hoping to pop on at some point here. This depends on how long it takes him to get his work done. But again, we wanted to give you guys the update there for day 2. Jay says, Bobby's out drinking all my coffees. And Jay, you missed it yesterday. We said nice things about you, by the way. Thank you again for that. We do definitely appreciate you, man. But we did say nice things, and I said, funny enough, Jay's not even here probably right now because I didn't see it in the chat. And I said, here we are, giving him a shout out, giving him some gratitude there. Jay says, espresso or Of course, espressos. You gotta have espressos. I actually have an espresso maker in my kitchen, and that's my day off coffee. You get the day coffee and the day off coffee. So, um, like I said, it's good. 'Cause day off. It's not just the coffee, but I have chicken, so therefore I get the day off omelets along with the day off espresso coffee too. Deb says, geez, I just read that Russell Wilson is going to the 49ers. That leaves Rodgers or some other teams because QB to be our starter, not happy. I haven't seen anything about Russell Wilson yet to the 49ers. I think there's kind of a holding pattern. And we'll talk about that a little bit there, but there's definitely a holding pattern going on right now. Let's see here. I'm seeing some things here with some people discussing as a possibility, but I'm not seeing anything there yet. So Jay says, I don't know. I donated it to him on their sites. Hopefully it has alcohol in it. Well, not for the actual coffee, but for later on. Espresso martinis a night. Sure, what the hell? That's one of my favorite cruise drinks. Jay says, Deb, they're trying to mess with Purdy to take a discount. Yeah, that's very possible. Very possible. Jay says, he said, how sweet. Want to donate to you guys doing good work. No, seriously, man, we definitely appreciate all you guys that Jay and everybody else here that does support the show. Honestly, like I said, it's makes us feel like you guys appreciate it. I think you don't think you appreciate it. Otherwise, the people that are commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, all that stuff, it's appreciated as well. But like we said all along, this show, point blank, if people don't watch, people don't get involved in the show, it would be very boring for Rob and I both. So we appreciate you guys supporting us definitely with that. Jay says, French press in the morning, espresso in the afternoons for me. Yeah, treat yourself. Exactly. Got to do coffee right. Jay says, that's the ideal day off. LOL. I'm sorry, I have no clue what's going on there. Sorry. LOL, LM. Whoa, there's a lot of letters there in that. I'm the worst with letters and stuff like that, by the way. I'm old, point blank. If that means something, I don't know. I apologize. I'm just old at this point here. Let's see. Deb says TWSN is reporting that Wilson signed with the Niners. I haven't seen that. Let me see. Let me see if they say anything here. I'm looking to see. 3 hours ago. And I wouldn't trust that because I'm seeing here on this is off their website. It says Russell Wilson signs to 49ers. And then the other thing is this Russell Wilson signs with San Francisco, replaces Brock Purdy. And nobody else from what I'm looking at here is reporting that. So yeah, I wouldn't trust that because I'm still seeing things on there, rumors and where it's going to go. So yeah, I wouldn't trust that. Jason is glad. Sorry, I have an old phone. The irony. Jay says I just use Pro Football Talk. They're the best in my humble opinion. Well, first off, you're not humble. I know better. But yeah, I'm always gonna recommend Pro Football Rumors. Pro Football Talk's not bad either. Don't get me wrong, but Pro Football Rumors, one I'm just used to. It's one of those. They're all the same, to be honest. Deb says, okay, I hope he's still out there. He's still out there. Like I said, there's a holding pattern. We'll get to that in a little bit here. Let's talk about our next guy on defense here, and that's Chauncey Golston, who, listen, guys, y'all probably know him to at least a certain degree because he's played with the Cowboys here for a number of years. Obviously, we play the Cowboys twice a year. If you want to call that playing, it's more like we get destroyed by them twice a year. But like I said, we definitely have a good idea of what kind of player he is at this point here. 27 years old, 6'5", 268 pounds. This past season, 17 games, 13 of which as a starter, 56 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 8 QB hits, 5 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 5 passes deflected, and a fumble recovery. And I think it's a decent pickup. And it's funny because I just saw Jay, you put that too. He's pretty decent. That's exactly what this is. Is he a franchise-changing, kind of move? No, absolutely not. Is he a guy that is a piece to a solid defense? I would definitely say that, especially because he had success last year without Dan Quinn. Because there's some guys when you have a really good defensive coordinator like Dan Quinn is, you go, okay, was this a scheme? Is this they just figured out how to use them because the guy who was coaching them was really good? He did it last year as well. So, a really good season he had this past year. You used definitely a lot more than typical. And they move him around a lot. This isn't a guy that just stays as an edge, as a defensive end in passing situation. Like they move him around. I've seen him towards the middle of the line, even at that point there, more like almost like a defensive tackle. Like that he's a guy that's, I want to say positionless, because I feel like that word is thrown a lot around in the NFL. And you start thinking about guys who like Isaiah Simmons that just never find a home. This isn't a guy who just never finds a home. This is a guy that point blank works in multiple places as a solid player, and he's not elite any of them, but he's average to above average at all of them. And there's a place for that. There's definitely a place for that here. What he also, to me, projects at is there's a possibility. We'll have to see how this progresses, guys. It's day 2 in free agency. There's plenty more time for things to happen. But I wonder, is he even a replacement for Azeez Ojulari to a certain degree? Azeez Ojulari is the last of the two, I want to say big names, because they're not big names per se, but the two bigger issues that we have as far as, guys potentially leaving during free agency. Obviously, we already re-signed Darius Slayton, who's the bigger name, but Azeez Ojulari was kind of the second biggest name that could potentially lead the Giants in free agency. And this is a guy that was a sack guy, basically. That's what Azeez Ojulari is. He's a guy who gets sacks. He's the guy who gets to the quarterback. He stinks against the run. And it's not me trying to just play, but okay, now he might be gone. Let's talk trash. We've been saying this all along. There was a big difference when Kayvon Thibodeau was out and Ojulari was in his spot. And there's a big difference in how the run defense was going, especially towards the outside. He's also not a guy that typically does very well in coverage, whereas Chauncey Golston can do those things. He can stop the run. He can be put into coverage if need be. This is a guy that has those type of abilities. Is he a guy that I would count on to be a coverage guy? No, I'm not being crazy here. But he's a guy, if you want to drop him back real quick and have him in his own coverage or something like that, or have him, hit the tight end and be the guy that kind of is that initial defender on him, you have that possibility. Is he a guy that's going to cover the edge at that point and stop a guy from getting outside of him? He's probably going to go ahead and do a much better job than Ojulari. Again, is he going to be elite at this stuff? No, that's not what he is. But you're not paying him as an elite guy. He's getting paid 3 years, $19.5 million, guys. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out the math, because luckily I'm not a genius. To tell you at that point, that's $6.5 million a year. You don't get an elite player at $6.5 million a year. That's not what you get. But what you can get here is a decent player, and a player that has got a much better ability to stay on the field than Azeez Ojulari ever had. How many times have we talked about Azeez Ojulari? Oh, he finally got some playing time. He's hurt. Azeez Ojulari looks good hurt. That's what he does. And I still like Ojulari. I still want to keep Ojulari if we can. I very much do want to keep him. And what I want is to have him as specifically that guy that you go, okay, it's a passing down. Where's Ojulari? Ojulari, go in there. Go get the quarterback. Pin the ears back. Let's go get him. Because that's what he does well. The rest of the stuff, not so well. That's the one thing he does well. And sometimes all you need in the NFL is a particular skill, not to sound a little Liam Nielsen here, but a particular skill that you're very good at, that a team can use to their advantage. And that's what he does. Whereas Golston is more of a well-rounded, all-around kind of player. And if we do lose Ojulari, if we do, I think Golston is a better player overall. Because he's going to be available. Because he's going to be able to do the things better that Ojulari can't do. Are we going to lose a little in the pass rush? Yeah. Be very frank. Ojulari is a better pass rusher than Chauncey Golston is. So, but we'll have to see what happens. Because again, we very well could still get Ojulari back to go ahead and pair up with these guys. And that's a decent edge room if you do that. And like I said, Golston's going to move around. By having a guy like Ojulari back, you can maybe move Golston towards the front. and then go ahead and put Ojulari as like extra edge rusher kind of guy. Like there's things, there's packages you can do. It sets us up for that kind of system there, and there's nothing wrong with having extra talent. This is a talent. This is a guy who's better than guys like Timon Fox, Boogie Basham, guys we put on the field the last couple of years. So I'm happy to get him. I also like the fact that we took him from the Cowboys. I think that's something that can never, ever be overlooked. You literally took away a starter from a division rival that you play twice a year. That is huge. You helped yourself. You hurt a rival. So that's something, like I said, you can't look past that. That's for sure. Let's see. Jay says, better than that bum-ass tackle from the Browns we got. Yes, very much better. Let's see. Salvatore, what's up, man? Says, sup, fellas? Are we really targeting Jameis Winston? We'll get into the quarterback soon, but he's definitely much better than anybody got on the roster last year. Jay says 3 Gettleman picks left on the roster. Yeah. Kevin D, my dad there says Ojulari can't stay on the field. Availability. Yep. 100% big issue. Jay says, yeah, but is he good enough and well-rounded? He won't get exposed. Yes. I'll say that point blank. I do think he's good enough and well-rounded enough not to get exposed. Again, am I expecting Pro Bowl seasons or anything crazy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I expect a guy who's average to above average at a lot of things. And like you said, as far as getting exposed, I think good enough not to get exposed 100%. Jay says they never had Aziz, Tibbs, and Burns on the field at once, I don't think. No, because they couldn't. They couldn't. They never got healthy enough together. Think about it. Thibodeau went down. Aziz Ojulari went down. These guys couldn't stay healthy enough to do it. If they had, I think they were like the first week or two, and that's about it. But if they had, maybe we'd be having that conversation as far as, hey, look at the trio at that point, they were together. And I think Ojulari might be more of a keeper this offseason, which I still think he could be. Again, I still think he could be kept. I'm not sure what kind of market there is for a guy who is, granted, a very good trick, but a one-trick pony who can't stay healthy. That's what it is. Jay says, it's funny how we got all the defensive players. The offense is the problem. 100%. As I said, 100%. And I'm hoping that's coming. I really do hope that comes. But I know, again, ownership seemed very upset with how everything was going with the defense for whatever reason. Again, if you look at last year and say the defense was the problem, you need to open your eyes a little more. Point blank. You need to open your eyes a little more and look at what was going on with this roster. The offense was the problem. And the quarterback position was definitely the problem, especially. So, speaking of quarterbacks last season, we're going to talk about one in a second here when we get back here from paying the bills real quick here.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
Alrighty, guys. And of course, you can also support the show by sending a super chat on YouTube or by going ahead and setting stars on Facebook or the freeway. The freeway is just hit the share, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, guys. Let someone know about the show that you think might enjoy it. Again, we say it all the time, but we really do mean it. We suck at marketing, point blank. We are horrendous at marketing. Wasn't for all helping out and helping spread the word about the show, point blank, who knows what would be happening there. So appreciate you guys for all the help you guys have given us there over the years here. All right. Like we said, let's talk about a previous New York Giant here. Daniel Jones. We thought we were done talking about Daniel Jones, but nope. Never quite done. He has signed on now with the Colts. It's been a little bit of a battle here for Daniel Jones over the last couple of days here. Once Sam Darnold was rumored to be going to the Seahawks, which, let's be honest, happened before yesterday. The rumor started the second Geno Smith got traded over to the Raiders there. The word was that the Vikings wanted to keep Daniel Jones, and they wanted to pair him with J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, J.J. coming off of a major injury. You never know what's going to happen there. But the Colts wanted him too. And the Colts have their own interesting situation because you look at what's going on with the Colts. They got Anthony Richardson, looked pretty good at his rookie year. Looked absolutely horrendous his second year in the league. Ridiculously low completion percentage. One point when the game was on the line, asked to come out because he was tired. The quarterback was tired. And I think Daniel Jones looked at this scenario and said, this is a guy I can beat out. This is a guy I can get time on the field with. This is the guy I could beat out in camp, potentially. Whereas, let's be honest, he's not beating out J.J. McCarthy. And that's not even to say J.J. McCarthy's any good. It's that Minnesota drafted that kid in the first round. They have to give him a shot to play and see what he is. No one knows that better than Daniel Jones, who got to play for way too many years because he was a first-round pick. But they're going to have to let J.J., the second he's healthy and they believe he's ready to go, step onto the field and see what he can do. Meanwhile, the Colts have now seen what Anthony Richardson can do. And they're not too impressed with the last year. Like, he's on the verge of losing that spot and then moving on, I feel like. And Daniel Jones, listen, Giants fans, we know him all too well, obviously. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. But what Daniel Jones can do is he could potentially start for you for a year, half a year, whatever, while you're figuring out what you want to do. Because the Colts are not in a position to draft a quarterback. The Colts are not in, at least not in the first round, I should say. The Colts are not in a position where they are looking at one of the bigger free agents this offseason either. You know, they were going to look at a Sam Darnold. You know, they're not going to look at one of those kind of guys. They were going to trade for a Geno Smith. They still want to see what they have in this quarterback. So Daniel Jones gives them that insurance policy. Absolutely gives him an insurance policy there. It's a good signing for him. 1 year, $14 million. And like I said, he gets a chance to beat somebody and potentially take the starting job. It's good for the Colts as well because we also have the Colts now have the ability to go ahead and have someone on there that can start if Anthony Richardson isn't good. But let's be honest, if you're Anthony Richardson, are you really scared of Daniel Jones taking your job? Like, really? Daniel Jones? Again, not trying to be rude. Daniel Jones is a guy we have a lot of respect for in the show because he worked his butt off for the Giants for a lot of years. He may not be a good quarterback, but you can't say it's a lack of trying. But Daniel Jones is not a guy that if I'm a quarterback that has a starting job that I may not be able to keep, I'm not going to sit there like, oh my God, Daniel Jones is in town. Nike, I could be losing my job here. I would feel pretty secure still. And I think given the situation we talked about earlier where like literally the game was on the line and Anthony Richardson's like, I have to come out of the game. I'm tired. I would say that shows to me a very low ability to deal with adversity. If you put in a guy who actually could beat him out, there would have been some potential problems for him. Daniel Jones is a guy who's not going to beat him out right off the bat, at least. He may over time spell him. I think Anthony Richardson will probably start the season, and I think they'll be shown how bad he really is. And I think eventually Daniel Jones will take that job. And it's more of an ability to just go ahead and kind of say, okay, we're done. We're moving on. But I want to be clear about one thing with Anthony Richardson, and I hate to back the guy to a degree because of what he did last season as far as, again, asking him to come out of a game because he's tired. As the leader of the team, first off, you never do that. That's inexcusable, point blank. But a lot of the problems they're having right now are the Colts' fault. We all knew he was coming out as a project. He was a project quarterback. He's the guy who had to sit for a year or two. And instead, they threw him out there. Threw him out there. If they were smart, they would have sat him for a year. If they were smart, they would have done that. Instead, they threw him out there. He had some success early on. Gets hurt. Now he goes into the first full year starting. Loses his job to Joe Flacco for a while and all. Has all kinds of issues there. Has a ridiculously low completion percentage. And now you're looking at year 3 going, oh, do I even want to keep this guy? Is he our starter? That's not the Colts, point blank. If you had sat him and let him actually develop, he'd be coming in probably this year. as the new face of the franchise, the guy who sat down for a couple of years and learned behind a guy like a Joe Flacco, like they brought in, last year, or a guy like Gardner Minshew, the guy they brought in the year before. And he would have had a chance to learn behind those guys, truly learn behind those guys, while not killing his confidence. I look at him and I think he's a guy whose his confidence is absolutely destroyed at this point. And that's why I do think Daniel Jones will take that job. And I do think it's why Daniel Jones knew he should take that job. It's a smart job for him to take. Much better shot to go ahead and take that, starting job away from Anthony Richardson than from J.J. McCarthy. So, best of luck to him, honestly. I know we kind of vented our frustrations on him many times on this show. And I do think that a lot of people have that are Giants fans, let's be honest. But when it boils down to it, he's a good guy. He's worked his tail off. And like I said, I hope all the best for him. I truly do. I hope everything works out for him. I hope he has a nice long career. To a certain degree, selfishly, I hope he never fully figures it out so we don't look stupid for letting him go. But listen, after so many years of being a Giant, I think I'm pretty confident that's not going to happen. So, like I said, I just hope the best for the guy, and hopefully good luck for him with the Colts there. So, all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, guys. We talked about a former quarterback a minute ago. You notice we're not talking about a current quarterback because we don't have one. Tommy DeVito is still the only quarterback on the Giants roster. We don't have a single option on the roster right now besides Tommy freaking DeVito. And the big name here, this is the ball that's going to drop, going to start making the rest of these names start going, is Aaron Rodgers, who's said to be down, according to the rumors at least. Listen, rumors change almost every hour. So if you're watching this past 9:40 in the evening on Tuesday, who knows what'll happen between now and then. But the rumors are that Aaron Rodgers is going to be down to either the Steelers or the Giants there. I know there were some initial conversations with the Titans. What I hear, they didn't really go too far. I also heard there was conversations with the Vikings. And the rumors I heard was that Aaron Rodgers did not want to go to the Vikings, partially because he didn't want to get all the comparisons to Brett Favre. Obviously those two did not exactly have the best relationships in, Green Bay. And he just doesn't want that kind of comparison. From everything I'm reading, everything I'm hearing from people that I talk to, I think the big thing is that right now he's just debating on which way is better for him because they both had their pros and cons. I know Rodgers is a big fan of Malik Neighbors. That's actually a big draw for him in New York, by the way, guys. So when people say, like, why would anyone want to play here? If you're a quarterback, look what Malik Neighbors did with Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito, and Drew Lock last year. Imagine what he can do with a quarterback like Rodgers. Love him or hate him, the guy's a much better quarterback than those three. Then you go ahead and look at the Steelers. They just got DK Metcalf. They got Mike Tomlin. You also have to move, though, too. That's potentially part of it. Rodgers did buy a house in the New York area there. So maybe that's a consideration for him as well. Only he knows that and his people. But don't forget, Rodgers literally is the one who first reached out to the Giants. He's the one who reached out to them. And the Giants are playing this very much like, listen, we're putting our cards on the table. We'd like to have you here. We're going to give you the time and respect to give you the time to make that decision. I kind of like it. I kind of don't. I don't like the fact that we're letting Aaron Rodgers dictate what we do right now as a franchise because it's Aaron Rodgers. He's kind of known for being a jerk. And we've been dicked around already by Matt Stafford. Let's be honest, Matt Stafford wanted to stay in LA. Did not want to leave. Because if he wanted to leave, he'd be gone. Then you go look at what's going on with the rest of the league right now. And you guys got like Russell Wilson sitting around. And he's waiting now to see what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers because the rumor is basically whoever Aaron Rodgers picks, the other team very well could get Russell Wilson. But you can't throw the Titans out of the mix too because the Titans have also talked to Russell Wilson. So, we're going to have to find out what goes on here, guys. There's definitely, a lot of possibilities here. That's for sure. I think that, again, we're going to have to just wait it out. I hate to say it that way. But that's where we're at. Aaron Rodgers literally holds the cards right now to the NFL teams that need quarterbacks. And until he figures out what he's doing, I don't think anybody else is really going to be start signing. Like if you were Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston, would you really be interested in changing out, for a backup job right now, knowing that you could potentially get a starting job depending on what's happening here with the, with the starting job the starting jobs that are left. You really want to get the starting job. You don't want to be a backup necessarily. You don't have to be. So let's see what happens there. But it's looking more and more like Aaron Rodgers is kind of the bell of the ball here that we're waiting on. And again, I don't like the fact that the Giants are waiting on him and letting him dictate what we do the rest of this offseason. But again, I look at this as a guy that is the best option for us at quarterback right now. As long as we can not let him strong arm this franchise the rest of the way. So if you want to give him the respect to give him a couple days to make a decision, that's one thing. But I will be quick to call out. Absolutely quick to call it out. If I see this team just letting him do whatever he wants, if we start seeing the Alan Lazards of the world coming over to the Giants and that kind of stuff, like I'm going to call it out. Because Rodgers can come here. I have no problem with that. I at this point, I kind of prefer it because I think he's the one guy who can make it a decent season for us potentially. I said decent, not great. Let me be very clear on that. Decent. But I don't think he's in any position to dictate to us what we do. I do not think that whatsoever. So I'm really hoping the Giants are also smart enough to realize that as well. So, all right, let's get to the rest of the comments real quick, and then we're going to get into the, the end of the show here. Barring any other moves here by the Giants, I am kind of keeping an eye on. If you hear me pausing for a second, that's why. So I'm trying to refresh all the news going on to make sure we don't miss anything else here in the meantime while it's going on. Let's see here. My dad says, let's see, where'd it go? There we go. He says, if we want a better pass rush, then take a pass rusher instead of QB at pick 3. The only problem I have with that is Carter is the only one who's available. I know we've said multiple times on here. I think that the issue with him is the injuries right now. It scares me. You got a stress reaction while training. You have a shoulder injury that hasn't healed up since the bowl game. Those two things definitely scare me. Is he a legit talent? 100%. He's an elite talent. But we talked about with Ojolari before, if you can't stay on the field, that definitely kills your value, Let's see here. Zeke, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let me know if I'm not. It says Holland has the best coverage grade of any safety over the last 3 years, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. He's been pretty good in coverage. And I'm really hoping that this is going to be potentially the solver for the tight end issue with us. Have somebody bump him at the line and have a guy like Holland cover him. And let's see what we can do, because how many years has it been that tight ends just keep killing us? That's for sure. Jay says, it just looks so obvious. Rodgers spurns us. The Titans have us like fish in a barrel in a week. I can see it coming a mile away. We'll see. I've said a minute ago that I prefer Rodgers. And I do, just based on what we have available. Again, not that I like Rodgers, just best available. We got to go with the guy like Jameis Winston or something for a year, guys. I'm not going to be that upset. I'm really not. Jameis Winston is an upgrade of what we had. So, sometimes you don't get what you want in life. That just is what it is. But if you can get a guy like Jameis Winston and Brian Daboll can QB whisper him, as people like to, call him the QB whisperer at times. If you can QB whisper him into stopping some of the interception issues that literally had a problem the whole entire career, then maybe we have a decent season. I don't think he can, though, to be frank with you. Because if Sean Payton couldn't do it at his time in New Orleans, then you got to pick a guy you trust to train a quarterback, Sean Payton or Brian Daboll. Sean Payton wins right now, guys. My dad says, Merrick complained about the defense and all the offenses that we couldn't stop. Yeah, but the offense we have couldn't start. That's what I would say. That's the problem. Zeke says, do you think DJ leaving Minnesota opens up A-Rod to the Vikings or nah? No, like I said, everything I'm seeing, he doesn't want to go there. He wants to end the Favre comparisons. Jay says, Anthony Richardson is horrible, dude. Yes, I would agree with that. He says, Jones is much better, to be honest. I'm not saying much, because Richardson's still young enough that maybe he turns it around. DJ is DJ. We know what DJ is. That's just not going to change anytime soon. That's for damn sure. Jay says he can throw for 65%. That's would have the Colts in the playoffs easy. Depends on where he throws. Throws at 65%, but holds on the ball and gets sacked 10 times a game, and that's not going to help very much. Throws 65%, but throws 2-yard bombs. Never thought I'd say the phrase 2-yard bombs, but that's what he did. Jay says we would have 0 wins if we had a quarterback throwing for 46%. Are you suggesting we trade for Anthony Richardson so we get the first overall pick next year? That's where I feel like you're going, Jay. That's where I feel like you're going. He says, rumors are he's a huge diva. I've heard that as well. I have. He says, Drew, you are the Daniel Jones of podcasters. Oh, my gosh. Not any of that Jay saying something. Andre says, hey, Drew, we finally have a defense. No more excuses for Bowen. At least we're top 10 or better. We need a defensive line for Dex and another guy to start in Roche's position. Again, I don't think the defense was that bad, guys. I know I'm kind of the minority there, so I'm not going to say otherwise, but we're leading the league in sacks at one point. We were, top half in points per game given up before all the injuries. Again, I know after the injuries, we were giving up big points, but every single player was injured on that defense, basically. What do we want to fix? The offense that was the worst in the league, or the defense that was above average in points and was leading the league in sacks at one point? I'm sorry, just the offense is the issue. Offense, 100%. Ezekiel says, is it possible for A-Rod to wait until after the draft, or does free agency end by then? Free agency never ends. Technically, it never ends. You can sign whatever you want between now and the end of the year. But if he wants a starting job, which you're Aaron Rodgers, of course you do. Eventually, the team's going to tell you, we're done waiting. We want to give you the time, but if we're done, we've got to make that decision because there's going to be nobody left. Right now, again, there's kind of a stalemate, I think. Teams are waiting to see what Aaron Rodgers does. But eventually, when you have a holding pattern, it's almost like a staring contest. Somebody breaks that eventually. And it's going to be Aaron Rodgers or a team. 50-50, which one it's going to be. But once one of those two makes their move, everything's going to start going from there. He says, because if we get Travis Hunter, I think that changes his opinion a lot. No, he'll be signed way before draft time. Jay says, Joey Bosa to the Bills. Yes, I did see that just broke a couple minutes ago there. I'm seeing that as a 1-year, $12.6 million is what I'm seeing here. Then he says, let's see here, Pinnock to the 49ers. Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. I'm seeing that on Reddit for some reason, but I'm not seeing it anywhere else. Fully guaranteed 1-year deal is all I'm seeing there. Let's see here. Yeah, 1-year deal. That's all I'm seeing so far. 1-year deal with the Niners. And it's a guy that, listen, I root for the best for him. He came from pretty much nothing NFL-wise. Wasn't even much of a prospect, really. Came in with the Jets. Impressed the guys there. Comes over to the Giants, gets a chance to start. No problem with it whatsoever. But let's be honest. Holland is an upgrade. Holland's a decent upgrade over Pinnock. I was kind of hoping to get Pinnock as like a third safety because I'm not really much of a Belton fan. But it is what it is. Like I said, he goes to a team now with the 49ers that need a safety. They lost one in free agency, obviously. And let's be honest, they're losing a lot in free agency right now because they have cap issues left and right. I mean, that's just, does Rodgers really want to compete against Lamar and Burrow? Probably not. He says, Giants need to pivot to Winston before he's signed by somebody else. We'd at least make it interesting. 100%. And he's a whole lot cheaper. Like, I guarantee you that Aaron Rodgers is going to want a ton of money. Jameis Winston probably signed for $5 million. The honest truth of the matter. I think he got paid like $1.5 million last year. Jay says, I'm down with Winston, KD. And then Money Mike says, I like all our move except Slayton. Would rather have Cooper a true number 2 than Slayton a 3 making 2 money. I just think that you look at Cooper, and I feel like people are still looking at Cooper like the old Cooper. And don't get me wrong, Darius Slayton had his worst season last year. That's 100% the case here. But if you look at what Cooper has done here, let me go real quick to the numbers here. 710 yards he had last year, 6 touchdowns in 12 games. Year before, 737 in 12 games. He hasn't been the same the last couple of years, guys. And he's going to want a lot more money than $12 million a year. Point blank, he's going to want a lot more money. He's 31 years old right now. Going to be 32 this season. I think he turns 32 soon. Yeah, June he turns 32. His best days are behind him. I don't think he's that good of a player anymore at this point in his career. Because let's say you sign him to a decent contract. Let's say even sign him to the same contract you're giving Darius Slayton. Let's just use that as a hypothetical. Okay, guy's been injured. Has been injuries the last 3 seasons. I don't think I want. Oh, he's clarified. Amari Cooper, not Cooper Kupp. Sorry, too many Coopers. We're hanging on Mr. Cooper here. Yeah, Amari Cooper, he scares me a little after last year. I look at him when he did last year, 547 yards, 44 catches, playing with Cleveland. You get a little bit of slack with Cleveland, because Cleveland didn't have the best offense at that point. Still had Deshaun Watson playing at that point. But he had 8 games, so basically half a season with the Buffalo Bills. So I had Josh Allen, 297 yards. I just don't see that as a pretty good, pickup for us there, especially when you look at what he did against the Giants. He had almost 20% of his yards against Deontay Banks with us week 3 there at that point. So yeah, Cooper was before this year. Hell's yeah, give me Amari Cooper. I just don't think he's got it anymore. To be honest, I just don't think it's there. Let's see here. We got moved around here a little bit here. Here we go. Jay says the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And that's, I assume talking to Slayton, because that's right after Money Mike made that comment there. And yeah, I said, I'm a big fan of Slayton. I'll say that point blank. So I'm probably a little biased when it comes to him. But the guy's a leader in their locker room. Not a lot of leaders we have left in this roster. I don't want to keep him personally. And he's a different player than what you got right now. Wan'Dale Robinson is that quick, short route kind of guy. Blake Neighbors kind of can do it all. Slayton is your speed guy. They're different types of players. I'm not so sure that Cooper fits in like that. Andre says, Drew, would like to trade up or remain in the 3rd pick? It depends on what they're asking. That's what it boils down to. I don't know what they're asking yet. They're asking for a couple of 3rd round picks, like one person said last week. Go for it. Done. They want a couple of 1st round picks, this year and next year's, then I'm not doing that. I'm not so sold on any of the quarterbacks this year. Let's be honest. There's nobody like, I have to have this quarterback. Not a single talent this draft like that. A quarterback at least. Zeke says Bosa to the Bills is a great ad by them. Yep, that's a good ad. I mean, they basically went ahead and got rid of Von Miller and added Bosa. So, much younger player. See if he can stay healthy, have a good year for them, but that could be a steal at that money. Jay says, yeah, Boss is it means Bosa is a badass. She's got to stay in the field. Exactly. Money Mike, what do you realistically think it would take to move up to number 1? So realistically, I don't think it's going to be like it usually is. I don't think you're looking at a player that calls for let's get 3 1st round picks this guy. I think you're probably going to have to give up either next year's 1st, which I definitely don't want to do, or I think a 2nd this year and a 3rd next year. And it just depends on how much, is the asking based on what everybody else is calling about. You know what I mean? Like the Giants could be the only ones calling up. Let's be honest on that. Like the Browns, I'm hearing rumors the Browns are going to get Kirk Cousins whenever he gets cut free by the Falcons there. And if that happens, then Browns got Kirk Cousins, and they get Tiny Hands Pickett himself. I'm not so sure they're going to be looking to get a quarterback in the draft. Jay says probably means Aziz gets 8 to 10 if Bosa got 13. I don't think so. I don't think the market's going to be there for Aziz Ojulari. I really don't. I think he's going to settle for like a $6-7 million contract at best. I mean, at best, like he's a guy that nothing would shock me because he's got pass rush ability, and that's something that tends to get paid in this league. But the availability issues, I think, going to just absolutely drain a lot of value from him for a lot of teams. My dad says the defensive tackle for Michigan is a pass rusher and a run stuffer. Pairing him with Dexter Lawrence, we will collapse the pocket on QBs. I'm just not so sure if we're going to get him. I really think they're going to get a quarterback. If they have a chance to get a quarterback, they're taking him. Money Mike says they're saying it's between us and Steelers for Rodgers. Yep, 100% what I'm hearing. Ezekiel says, I don't think the Titans are trading out of one. They need a quarterback since Russ seems not interested in them at all. My bigger thing is, why would they want to? Like, why would you want to go ahead and trade up for a quarterback that a quarterback needy team is willing to trade away like that? That's my concern. Jay says, we got that extra comp pick today, 3rd. Maybe we throw that in. Yeah, I did hear that as well. Right before I came on, I saw the comp picks coming out. Let me see real quick here, because I know it is a 3rd round pick. Yeah, we're getting a 3rd round pick. It's going to be pick number 99 in the draft. So that makes me much more okay throwing in a 3rd. If we do have to trade up. Like if we can do a 3rd this year, and I'll even give them the original one. If we can get a 3rd this year and give up a 2nd next year, I'd probably make that trade. If I like the quarterback enough. And I say it that way because it doesn't really matter me personally. I'm not in the room with Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. And let's be honest, if we trade it, it's Cam Ward, the guy. But I'm not in the room to know as far as how he interviews, how he reacts to questions, what kind of personality he has. Is a huge difference. I don't want to get too much. I keep my personal and my podcasting life a little separate there. But I have done plenty of interviews at positions that I've had where I've had to interview people and look at their resume to go, good resume. It should be a slam dunk. They should get a blank because of this. I think they'll probably be good at this because of that. And then you get talk to them or meet them and it's completely different. So you never know. You never know. But again, if the Titans don't want him and want to give up trade picks to get him, makes you question it. Will Levis is not that good a quarterback, guys. Be very, very clear on that. Zeke says, what pick was 3rd comp? Yeah, 99. Exactly. That's the 3rd comp deck there. Money Mike says, no, Amari can still ball, bro. Bills just didn't use him. Listen, he didn't come into a good scenario with the fact that it's hard to go to a team midway through. But it's easier to come midway through to a team as a receiver than is most of their positions. Because it's a universal language as far as what kind of route you're going to run. He can literally go in the huddle and say, okay, this is the play. Amari, 9 route. Amari, 4 route. They can do all that kind of stuff. And they didn't do it. So to me, I think that I would avoid him personally, unless I can get him on a cheap deal. You're telling me I can get him on a $5 million less deal? Let's go. But I don't think he'd sign for that. I think he knows this is probably his last payday coming. But I think he hurt his stock big time with this past year, that's for sure. Jay says we got a 3rd and a 7th. Did we get a 7th as well? I didn't see that one there. I said I kind of came in while I was trying to do all the writing here for everything else. Didn't have Rob to help me out today. All I'm seeing is let's see here. Yeah, all I'm seeing is the 3rd. And that's for the loss of Xavier McKinney, by the way, specifically for those who are wondering. All I'm seeing is that. I'd have to look to see. I thought we had 2 7th round picks already prior to that. Let me see here. Let me take a look real quick and see if it gives me that. I got too many windows open here. Let's see here. If I do a 7th round mock draft, my pick. Yeah, they already gave the 9 pick to the Giants on the mock drafts there. But like I said, if I remember correctly, we had 2 first-round picks. 2 7-round picks, I'm sorry. I'd have to look it up to verify that. But all I'm seeing is the prior one there at that point. Let me see if I can go to one from a couple of days ago. Here we go. Mock draft. Yeah, no, they're not giving us that. They said I don't wait too long on that, but I'm pretty sure, like I said, I don't think we got a 7th round. If we did, great, but if I remember correctly, we had 2 to begin with. Daryl says if it is long term, how Rodgers makes sense, hell no. Well, I mean, the big thing is about making sense with Rodgers is, as far as long term, is you're giving him a chance to start for a year, let somebody else sit behind him. So, like, you can sign a 2-year contract with Rodgers. The second year is kind of fugazi and just kind of there as a just in case. And if you got a guy like Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel, I had to bring him up because, I like him. You can let one of those guys sit for a year behind Rodgers. And I'm a big proponent of letting a quarterback sit. Don't throw him out there. That's one of the things I didn't like what we did with Daniel Jones, to be honest. I thought we'd throw him out there way too quickly. But that was Pat Shurmur trying to save his job. And I get that to a certain degree, but it was done at the expense of the growth of a quarterback. I like quarterbacks to sit. So, scary thing is one of Daniel Jones, probably his second best year was his rookie year. But like I said, I just don't like starting a quarterback that early. My dad says, I don't think the second-tier quarterbacks are that far behind the first 2. I agree. Jameis Winston, I'd make the case I'd take him over Russell Wilson. I would really make that case. So, we'll see. Jace is 100%. Money Mike says, Winston or Wilson for vet QB. I said, Jameis Winston, guys. We talked about it during the season even. He's, I think, Aaron Rodgers, then Jameis Winston is probably my top 2 there. See, Jay says, yeah, that'd be a great trade for us. I don't care if the Titans don't want him. Every scouting department is independent. It's all opinions. 100%. No, 100% you're right there, man. But like I said, you got to question it. It's like if you see a guy who literally, needs a car and is selling his car, would you think it's 11? Like, that's basically what you got going on here. Money Mike says, if JJ McCarthy was in this draft, where do you rank him amongst QBs? Honestly, I'd still put him 3rd. I'm not a JJ guy. That's where I just boil down to in that I am not a JJ guy. I don't think he's that good. I think his best move in college was handing the ball off. I mean, I could be proven wrong, and I think he'll probably look good in Minnesota. I'll be very clear when I say that because of the fact of what's around him. KOC is a great coach, great offensive mind. JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry, JJ McCarthy. Justin Jefferson, wrong JJ. Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, good offensive line. They beefed up the offensive line this offseason as well, even more. He's got all the weapons around him. He should be able to succeed. I think anybody look at Sam Darnold in that. Like, you guys really think Sam Darnold's that good? Sam Darnold looks borderline MVP caliber at times this year. Jay says, we got one for Brenton. I think we'll have to take a look at that. I don't think that's not the thing I'm seeing, but Dennis says, what do you think Rodgers will ask for? Probably, if I had to guess, about $30 million a year and all the mushrooms in a cave. I don't know. He holds the cards because people want him. There's a demand. So I don't know what he's even worth at this point, to be honest with you. I would love to get him for like a deal like a field sign with the Jets, like a 2-year, $40 million, maybe guarantee like 25, maybe 30. That's it. But, it is what it is. I mean, he's going to ask what he's going to ask for, and somebody's probably going to give it to him, as long as it's at least in the realm of a possibility. He's not going to get $40, $50 million, that's for sure. But Zeke says, did you see Antonio Brown tweeted that Rodgers and Steelers already agreed to a deal? I know it's just AB, but who knows? Well, I'll tell you who doesn't know. AB. AB is just insane. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. And Jay says, you're getting your news from AB, starts laughing out loud. Lamar Adams, Odell Beckham was at a Diddy party. That is the lawsuit. I'm not going to say he was there. I wasn't there myself. We talked about it yesterday, but we'll have to see how that legal situation plays out there. It's not looking good. Jesus, come on, man. Zeke says that's why I added the disclaimer in my comment. And Jay starts laughing. My dad says I'd rather draft someone like Will Howard later than take a QB at 3. Will Howard's an interesting one. He is. Will Howard's an interesting one. Again, Dylan Gabriel's an interesting one. I'm not a Jackson Dart guy. I'm not a Milroe guy. I do think there's a couple of guys. I don't think that it's like it's only 2 quarterbacks this entire draft. Like, I don't think that. I really don't. And I really wouldn't be mad at that point if we lost out, let's say, on hypothetically one of these 2 quarterbacks, and we just go get, let's say, 2 mid-round picks. Let's go get Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel. Both fight it out. Fight it out for the job. Who wants to be Aaron Rodgers' backup? There's a lot worse options to doing that. Because then you got the pick at 3. You're probably getting, one of the top flight kind of guys at that point there. You're not getting, a quarterback that might just absolutely flop. And don't get me wrong, everybody can flop. That's life. But, you could go ahead in a situation where you go get a guy like Abdul Carter if you like him. You can go out and get a Travis Hunter if you like him. You can tell I don't like these guys, right? Mason Graham, you can go out and get him. I actually do like Mason Graham a lot. You can go out, maybe trade down and get more picks even. Crazy suggestion. We'll have to see what the Giants do. There's a lot of options. I don't think trading down is that crazy if you don't like quarterback personally. If somebody wants to. Monday Mike says facts. I agree about JJ. Jay says Zeke, Johnny Manziel says the stock market is going up tomorrow. Let's see here. Monday Mike says AB is his own world. Exactly. Jay says there are some crazy AB stories out there. And yes, and half of them are started by AB himself. Jay says it all started after Burfict gave him a concussion, in my humble opinion. I don't know. I feel like Mike Tomlin, I think, just did a really good job of hiding AB from us, like hiding who he is, My dad says Riley Leonard has been linked to the Giants by some pundits, but he doesn't impress me except for his toughness. Yeah, I don't want no part of any Duke, North Carolina quarterbacks of any kind. I know he's been Notre Dame, obviously, last year, but yeah, I'm good. That's not a guy I'm interested in. Money Mike says, we signed Rodgers for 2 years and draft Cameron Sanders, who sit the first year. What do you do with Rodgers year 2? You cut him if you have to. And that's why I'm saying you're not going to guarantee the full 2 years. If you got to eat $5-10 million next year on Rodgers, it's not the end of the world. The big thing is developing. And if you get the chance to have somebody sit for a year behind him and truly develop him, that's big. And you know what? If Rodgers plays balls out and we do really good and you want to play Rodgers a second year, then do it. That's not a problem in my eyes. I don't think Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders are that good where you can't tell them point blank when you draft them, hey, we got Rodgers here for 2 years. If you want the job, we love that you want the job. Beat out Aaron Rodgers. If you can't beat out a 42-year-old quarterback, you're probably not ready. And Ezekiel says he wants 2 years, so that's the problem. It's not a problem. It's really not. No one's going to guarantee him 2 full years. I'm telling you that right now. No one is going to guarantee a 41-year-old, 42-year-old quarterback 2 years. Not going to happen. Because year to year, you have no clue what's going to happen. If that's the case, you might as well pay him $40 million in year 1. Because that's what you're doing. So, Money Mike says facts. I agree. Like I said, it's a great problem to have. What do we do? Oh, no, we have a second year for Aaron Rodgers in the books, potentially. It's worse problems to have. I'd rather that than force a quarterback out there who's not ready to play. Point blank. And these guys need work. Cam Ward needs work. Shedeur needs work. My dad says, if you sign Rodgers and draft one of these quarterbacks, 1 year development may not be enough. Exactly. You don't have to force it. I mean, the other side of the coin may be Aaron Rodgers just falls off a cliff this year or next year, and you don't need to keep him anyway. Be very frank, at his age, you never know what's going to happen. The example I always use is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning fell off a cliff last year. You just never know what's going to happen. Father Time will win every single year. There'll be guys that just fall off the face of the earth and just aren't good anymore. And you never know what year it's going to be when you're 41. So, most people have had it happen by now. So, all righty, guys. Well, that's going to call it a night for us here. I got to get going. So I had a pack to go on a trip there tomorrow. Appreciate you guys for watching, as always. I may be unavailable the next couple of days myself personally, but Rob is going to be on for you guys there if anything else does happen. We're trying to keep you guys up to date as best we can. If there are no signings tomorrow, we will not have our usual Wednesday show, and this will be just replacing the usual Wednesday show there, guys. But it all depends on what's going to happen. I think we're probably going to get a quarterback the next day or two, to be very frank with you guys. So whatever day that is, we will be on to give you guys the heads up on that. So like I said, keep an eye out. If you really want to know when we go live, the best way is hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. Well, the share doesn't tell you when you're like, but we appreciate that anyway. Hit the bell on YouTube. And like I said, that's the way you'll know there. Because as always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, and of course my LinkedIn profile. And we are also available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. That is Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all the big ones there, guys. Again, if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. And if you like audio and video, keep in mind you can do it on both. There's no limit to how many times you can like, subscribe on all the different platforms. Hell, when we go live, my phone goes off. It's all the different platforms. Obviously, I like our pages on all the platforms, my own personal page there. So I get all kinds of notifications there. But again, appreciate you guys for coming on. Like I said, exciting times. I think at this point for Giant fans, it's all a matter of who we get a quarterback now and hopefully try to fix this offensive line. So we still got to figure out that right guard position this offseason as well. But listen, this defense should be much better, guys. We really all should be pretty happy with the first 2 days, I think, there, because there's nothing earth-shattering contract-wise. Absolutely nothing. It's not like we gave a guy $30 million or $40 million. Nothing crazy like that. But we got solid players. We got a guy that many called the best corner in the free agency. I disagree with that statement there, but he's still a really good corner. We got probably the best safety in free agency. We got a couple of decent guys for the line, one depth piece, one starting piece that can move around and play a couple different spots there. We got a swing tackle. Again, I don't like the move, but we needed a swing tackle. We got a good special teamer here. They don't all have to be, they don't have to be great pickups, guys. Sometimes just be solid pickups, good players, not great players, good players. And I think we got a couple guys who are potentially be great, especially in the secondary. And we got a couple good signings to go along with it. So like I said, I think it's a decent start to the free agency overall. I'm excited to see what tomorrow and the next day brings there. See where Aaron Rodgers goes. That's the big one. We're waiting on a land there, obviously. But like I said, we'll be on definitely any big moves that happen here next couple of days. So appreciate you guys for watching as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.